Hi, I'm Toyya Braskey from Galveston, Texas. My Facebook page is Galveston Psychic Paranormal Researcher. Tonight I wanted to talk to you about ghostly encounters. I wanted to share a story with you about when I lived in Dickinson, Texas, which is approximately 15 miles from Galveston. So, years ago, I was living alone in an apartment and I began to see something really strange in my apartment. It started at night, but then also it was extended to being able to see it during the day. So basically, I would be laying in bed and I would see something that looked like maybe a 2 foot by 3 foot white, cottony cloud that would float through my bedroom, and this cloud would purposely move just like a human would. It would walk back and forth through the room. It would walk to the dressers and stop. It would walk through my bedroom. It would never come up to my bed, but it would walk through the room as if it was checking on me. So I remember watching it and kind of just squinting my eyes and pretending that I was asleep, but watching it the entire time. And what was unusual is it wasn't just like a light, it was like really a thick, opaque cotton, like walking through my room. So I have seen things all my life, so it wasn't scary to me. It had a presence of something that was very caring and maybe even angelic that was protecting me. So I continued to see this many times at night, and we got used to each other. I let it do its thing, and it pretty much left me alone. But I had the distinct feeling that probably someone died in that apartment and that they were still living in that apartment, and that's what that was. Or I felt like it was some kind of angelic being that was letting me know that it was there, but the only way that I could see it was this white, cloudish, cottony appearance. So then, as time progressed, I would be watching TV in the living room and I would see the same thing even in the daylight, and it appeared to me as, a 2 foot by 3 foot maybe cotton cloud, and it would just walk through my living room from the hallway through the living room across the TV where I was watching TV, and I saw it many times. Now, back then, I never told people that I saw things like that. I never had those kind of discussions because I wasn't ready to share that I had these abilities. So, I was used to seeing things that nobody else could see my entire life. And I remember just kind of keeping it to myself and not talking to anybody about it, but I was always aware that it was there. So I had a neighbor, her name was Angelica. She was a Mexican American that barely spoke any English. And she used to come over sometimes and watch TV with me. So one day, Angelica came over and we were sitting in my living room watching TV. And as she's sitting to the right of me, I began to see this white cloud entering through the hallway, and it's about to walk across the living room, across the TV. And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, Angelica is not going to see this. It's only me that can see those things. And all of a sudden, as soon as the cloud came into the room, Angelica starts making the sign of the cross, speaking in Spanish, saying, Jesus, 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 Jesus. And she starts telling me, do you see it? Do you see it? And I asked her the same thing. I said, you see it? Like no one has ever seen what I've seen before. So it really surprised me, and needless to say, Angelica would not come back to my apartment after that. She never wanted to visit again. Now, a very unusual thing was Angelica was a young mother. Angelica's baby died of SIDS syndrome. I don't know if that spirit had anything to do with her or if it was just a spirit that maybe passed away in that apartment and made itself very known and very visible. But that was probably the first and only time that I had a witness to something that I personally saw all the time and I thought that other people could not see. So that's a story that I wanted to share with you. One of the things that I would like to tell you about me is I come from a family of artists. Nearly all of my ancestors were very artistic. Now, I never tried to paint probably until about a year and a half ago. And so the painting that you see behind me right here, it is actually a unshaven alpaca. Um, just in case you're not sure what it is. It is an alpaca. I love things like alpacas. I have them all over. And so I never like to paint anything small. And I painted that painting. It's only the second painting that I ever tried to paint. And what I did was, because I've never really painted anything, I've never even tried to be artistic, is before I started to paint my paintings, I prayed to my ancestors who are all artists, and I said, can you help me with this painting? Can you give me tips on what to do? And so that's the result of my second painting that I ever did. And everything on it, from the tassels to all of the paint, is my authentic work that I made with my hands. And so I have maybe about 3 more paintings that I've done. I don't have a lot of time to do art, but if I did, I would paint things like that. So I just love that painting. I love the colors in it. It may not look like an alpaca, but if you've seen an alpaca that's not shaven and they're very fuzzy, then you can see the alpaca in that painting. I love to wear things like crowns. I love to wear jewelry. I love to wear kind of elegant style bohemian dresses. So very often you're going to see me dressed like this. There's a couple of other things that I would like to share with you. And some of those things are about having psychic gifts. And I can tell you stories about just things that have happened in the past where I had feelings that were prompted to make me go tell another person something that was important. So many years back, I was living in Lamarck, Texas, and on the corner of Bayou Street there was a laundromat. It was owned by a lady named Sandy. Now, I didn't really know Sandy, but I did my business laundry there. And so very often I came in to do my laundry and then I left. But one day I was doing my laundry, and when I passed Sandy, the owner, I had this foreboding feeling that something was wrong with her. Now, I've had these feelings my whole life, and most of the time when I feel these feelings, they are correct. And what happens is I have this overwhelming feeling that I have to relay a message or I can't rest. So I remember feeling that when I passed her, that I said something is not right with her, and I felt this complete danger. So I went out to my car and I sat in my car and I said, you know what? This woman doesn't even really know me. If I walk up to this woman and I tell her that I think something is wrong, she's going to think that I'm a complete nut. She is, and I sit there debating, like, should I go back in and say something to her, or should I just leave it alone and go ahead and go home? Because, there's not a lot of people that believe in psychic ability. And so if you say something like that, they're going to think you're absolutely nuts. So I sat in my car and I kept debating and I kept praying, what should I do? What should I do? So in the end, I decided, no matter how crazy it would seem, that I was going to walk back into the laundromat and I was going to go straight up to Sandy. So I did. And I said, Sandy, I just wanted to tell you, I don't really know you, but most of my life I've had feelings that come to me that are usually correct. And when I passed you a while ago, I said, I saw this aura of color around you that made me feel that something is wrong with you, that you're sick, and I felt that something is not right with you. So she was quiet for a minute and she stepped back and she looked at me and she said, you know, that's funny that you said that because I've been kind of procrastinating going to the doctor all week, but I have been feeling really bad. And she said, you know what, I'm going to go to the doctor because you said that. So I didn't come back for about 2 weeks. And then when I did return 2 weeks later, Sandy was there. And she came straight up to me and she said, you know what, my doctor said to thank you that you saved my life. And apparently her medical problems were so serious that had I not told her that day to go to the doctor that something was wrong, that they said that she could have stroked out any minute, and that I literally saved her life. And so that's something that I think about all the time, that sometimes you don't want to get involved and you don't want to say anything because you're afraid of this gift. You're afraid that if you do say something and you're wrong, then people are never going to trust you. But I'm glad that I did. So there was another time that I was working at the prison and I was working at the front desk area. And I was sitting across from my coworker, and as I was sitting across from my coworker, I had the foreboding feeling again that something was wrong with her and I needed to warn her. So I looked over at her and I kept looking, scanning her, and I said, something is wrong. I see it in your neck. And I could literally see her carotid artery literally bouncing on her neck, like and it was so visible that I could see it from 4 feet away. So I said to her, I said, you know, look, that's not a normal thing. I used to work in cardiology, and I said, that's something you need to go to the doctor right now about. And she kept saying, no, I've been to the doctor. My doctor said that I'm fine. And I said, how fast is your heart rate? And she said, it's about 100 and something. And I said, no. I said, anything over 100 is very serious. It's tachycardia, and you can go into VFib. You can have a stroke. And I said, I'm telling you right now, I said, please don't listen to that doctor. You are in serious condition. You need to go to the doctor. So I kept telling her over and over, you know, trying to make her understand. She chose to ignore what I said. And literally within 3 months, she had a massive stroke, was in ICU for over a month, barely lived, and is still not fully recovered. Those are the kind of things that I've had happen to me my entire life. Sometimes people don't want my advice. Sometimes you can tell a person, but they choose not to listen to you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And very rarely, when I get these type of premonitions, is it something that I can prevent, except in the case of Sandy. With Sandy, the laundromat owner, that was something that immediately I felt such danger for her that I felt like, regardless of anyone thinking that I'm crazy, I needed to go tell her, I feel this about you. I feel that you're not well. Now, a lot of people would just look at you and go, you know, what's wrong with this person? You're crazy. But I'm glad that she took me seriously, because I was completely right on that. I've had very strange things happen throughout my life. This is a story that in my 20s, you know, they say that the Nordic aliens look just like you and me. Well, in my 20s, I was doing something, I want to say, not really deceptive, but in a reporting sense, of trying to do a report on something. I was acting like I was interested in a story that I wasn't really interested in, and really I was just trying to get information. So when I was out at that site, I met a human being that passed me, and I'm just going to tell you that I was outside of an abortion clinic, and I was doing a undercover story on that abortion clinic. So while I was there, this man passed me, and as he walked in front of me, he looked into my eyes, and out of his eyes, there was a blue beam that came out of his eyes and beamed into my eyes as if like laser beams, like literally, I mean, I'm not making it up. So I'm talking to him, and can you imagine that you're talking to someone and all of a sudden something like laser beams come straight out of their eyes into yours? And so when that happened to me the first time, I was kind of shocked. I was kind of like, I know that I just felt that, but I'm not going to say anything, because if I say, "Hey, did you just beam blue lights into my eyes?" this person is really going to think that I'm the biggest nut in the world. So I'm not going to say anything, because I don't know if I'm tired. I don't know if I'm hallucinating. Did that really happen? I know that it really happened. I just felt it. I just saw it. But I don't think that I'm going to say anything about this, because that's a little bit crazy. So, a couple of years passed again, and I was working on a project where I was delivering food to the homeless. And many times I would go through these neighborhoods that were really dangerous and under bridges and things like that. And I would bring people packages to take care of them. I would bring them food. And as I was passing this particular man, I offered him food, and I said, "Here, I just wanted to bring you some food to eat." And he looked at me and he said, "I'm not homeless." And then he beamed the blue lights into my eyes again. And that time I knew it was real. Like, these beings that I was seeing either had to be aliens or angelic. They looked exactly like humans, but they were able to beam something from their body straight into my eyes, like through my soul. And so I knew that twice in my life I've met these type of beings. I don't know what they are, but that's some of the strange things about my life, that all of my life I've had these spirit encounters, and I find it fascinating, and I try to share pictures with you. It really was not until my late 40s that I began to take photographs of what I see. I remember one day being frustrated because I've prayed my entire life, and I said to God, what purpose is it to have this gift if no one believes in what I do? And I heard a telepathic voice say to me, "Have you ever tried to photograph what you see?" And I thought, well, no. But that day I picked up a camera, and some of those photographs that you see for water channeling on my page, those are the first photographs that I did where I felt prompted to go get a bowl of water and start water channeling, even though I've never done it before. And as I did it, all of those images came up. And then from then on, I've been able to photograph spirits with ease. Just, I don't even have to try. I can just be somewhere and pick up a spirit on my camera. They appear to me all the time on my surveillance camera. So those are the unusual things that happen in my life. but I wouldn't change it for anything. I love this. I'm so fascinated by it, and I hope over time that I can share with you some evidence of that. Anyway, have a great week next week, and I'm going to end there. And thank you for listening to my stories. And also, thank you so much for my new followers. I'm so excited about that. Thank you that you care enough about me to follow me. Bye.